what support do you get from all the good work that Sport Relief do?
Hey people, Doc again. Today's little project, I bought a fender extender for my VN 900. Just a little something to try and keep the dirt and the muck away from the rectifier, which is hung low on the bottom edge of the engine. So we'll have a look, see what we got, and we'll go from there. Alright, this is what we bought for our £17. It's a carbon fibre fender extender. It's moulded in carbon fibre. It's not looking like carbon fibre, it is actual carbon fibre. So this is specific to the bike, the VN 900 Custom. You can get them for all makes, all models of bikes. Have a look on Fleabay. There's various ways of attaching these to your mudguard, your fender. You can either use silicone adhesive, which takes a while and can be a bit messy. The other way is to put fixing screws, which looks horrendous. Or you can use double-sided tape, industrial strength. A couple of different types. You've got a glazing bonding tape. Good adhesion, but it's a little bit thick. Or you've got another form of double-sided tape, which again is really strong and sticky, but is a lot thinner. That's the type I'm going to be using today. So we need to go and take the mudguard off the bike, come back in the workshop and go from there. Okay, so I'll give the bike a wash because it's always better to work on a clean bike than a dirty one. You've got to remove 4 button head bolts. I've already removed the back 2, so you've got 1 front, 1 back, each side of the mudguard. So I'll just remove the remaining 2 now. I've already cracked them off, so just slacken them off. I'm using a 4mm Allen key. Remember to keep the washers as well. You need those to go back on. One side. Yep. Second. Out. Now the mudguard should just lift up and forward and off. You have to take him, spring him out a little bit, and then away and forward. Put that nice and safe because we don't want to damage the mudguard. And scratch him, and then obviously you can give your mudguard bracket a good clean up. And what I always do so that I don't lose the bolts is I just pop them back in. You haven't got to put them all the way in, just back in a few threads, a few turns, so that you know you're not going to lose them. Before I put the mudguard back on, then I'll give all the carrier a wash and a clean. Last bolt. Just put the washer back on. Again, I'm doing this one-handed, so bear with me. If I can get this washer on the bolt. There we are. Right. Drop that one back in, and we're done on the bike for now. So we'll go into the workshop and we'll have a look at prepping the mudguard and getting the adhesive tape ready. Right, we're in the workshop now. Before we can do anything with the mudguard, we need to clean the inside, get all this grunk and gunge out, so that our adhesive tape is going to stick nice and good. Now we're only going to be using the back section by here, but it's a good clean all the way around. What I'm using, you can either use soap and water and then dry it off, or you can use, I'm using just a normal wash and wax waterless cleaner. I will be then wiping with a little bit of thinners just to get any residue off. Okay? stinking. Right, so now we got it nice and clean. We want to make sure it is grease and oil free, and the way to do that is a tiny little bit of thinners on a clean rag. Just wipe the area that we're going to clean, okay? What that'll do, it'll make sure that there's no grit, dirt, oil off the road, any tar, anything left on our mudguard at all. That's going to stop that tape from sticking well. Just give that a few minutes to air dry, and then we're ready to start sticking. Right, we've got our mudguard now, which is all nice and clean inside. We've got the extender, which again I cleaned. Make sure there's no oil or grease on there. We've got our tape, and we've got a cutting knife. All I'm going to do is I'm going to try fit the fender extender first, just to make sure that everything's going to line up before I commit to sticking it on. So this goes underneath, inside the mudguard, like that. Just make sure that the edges are nice and clean, everything is going to line up, and you're happy with the fit before you commit to stick. So everything looks okay, I'm happy with the fit. So what I'm going to do is put the mudguard aside, and I'm going to stick strips of the double-sided tape around and fill this area with the double-sided tape. I'm going to cut myself a fresh piece just in case the end has lost a bit of sticky, and then I'm just going to cut some lengths, stick them round. Don't worry about the excess because you can trim that off after. I want to make sure that there's plenty on there so they have good adhesion or adhesion. Probably just 2 or 3 lengths of this tape would have done, but I want to make sure that it's going to stay exactly where I put it. So I'm probably putting more than I actually need on there, but why not? I don't be going down the road and having this fly off. Just keep putting your tape round. As I said, you could probably get away with just 2 bits of this tape because it is really strong and tacky, but I just want to make sure I've got enough on there and I'm not going to lose any extender. You can see how sticky it is by how much trouble I'm having peeling this excess back off. Right, so that'll about do me. So I just need to get the backing paper off this tape, which can be a little fiddly sometimes. You just got to start an edge, make sure that you're not peeling the whole thing back off, like that. You can see the tape is still left on, so I need to do that all over now. There. Sometimes a lift's good, other times you can be there for ages. Yep. Just make sure that it's all stuck down, because we are going to be pressing quite hard with the two surfaces anyway, so if there is any little bits that are not quite stuck down, they should be pressed down firm then. Just keep going round, taking that backing paper off. And now what you can do, a little trick, if you haven't exactly pushed it down enough and it's lifting before you can get the backing paper off, is grab an old piece of backing paper, shiny side down, put it back onto the tape and press the tape down and peel back off. That'll allow you to get any little air bubbles out. Make sure that the tape is pressed down without taking any of the sticky away from this side. So just make sure he's all down. You're happy? Yep. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to line this up on the mudguard. Once I'm happy where it is, I'm going to press from the back and the front at the same time, so that tape really bites in and gets a hold. Right. This can be a little tricky, and it's easier to get this front edge lined up first. Fairly stiff with them, get him all lined up, get him in there, and then really press the two together. Careful not to scratch or damage your mudguard while you're doing this. Always do it on an old blanket or an old curtain like I'm using. Really press that in. You'll feel if there's any areas that are lifting back up, because you really want that tape to get a bite. Hold him, press him, squeeze him, turn him over, press down. Again, only do it on something cushioned and soft. I'm not doing right out to the curve unless I turn the mudguard over. Keep pressing, squeezing him in. Now, a lot of these tapes can be pressure activated, so the harder you press, focus, wake up, there. The harder you press, the more it'll stick. So there. That now isn't going anywhere. I can pull and twist and that's not going anywhere. So that now is fitted on the rear of the mudguard. Looks quite snazzy. So we'll go and fit the mudguard back on the bike, and then we'll have a look, see how he sits and if it looks nice or not. Right, there you go. I'm losing the light a little bit, so I didn't show putting the mudguard back on, but basically it's just sit your mudguard back over, put the little mushroom head bolts in with a little dab of Loctite on them so they don't loosen themselves out. Tighten them up to either the torque setting in your manual or to where you think is enough, and that's what she looks like on. So this now should hopefully protect my rectifier and the radiator a little bit more from the muck and gunk that gets thrown up. So what do you think, people? Message below, let me know. Not too hard a job, is it? Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.